Mayday, mayday! Greg Shewmen gripped the plane's controls, his voice tight with fear. He wasn't a man easily rattled, but a warning light blinked ominously, signaling a fire in the engine. Then the radio crackled. "Greg, we have another problem. It's a bomb!" Panic surged through him. A bomb? On his plane? It felt surreal, like a bad dream. His co-pilot, a seasoned flyer named Jack, tried to reassure him. "We're trained for this, Greg. Stay calm." They went through emergency procedures, their movements swift and practiced. They were over the Pacific, miles from land. The radio crackled again, this time with the voice of air traffic control. "We're dispatching help, but your nearest landing strip is a remote island barely visible on radar." Greg's heart sank. A remote island? That wasn't good. The plane shuddered violently. Smoke filled the cockpit, stinging Greg's eyes and making it hard to breathe. "We're going down!" Jack yelled, his voice barely audible above the roar of the failing engine. Greg fought to control the aircraft, his knuckles white as he gripped the yoke. He aimed for the beach, the only clear spot on the island. The crash was deafening. Metal screeched against trees, the smell of fuel filled the air, and then silence. Greg coughed, his head spinning. He unbuckled his harness and stumbled out of the wreckage. "Jack? Jack, are you all right?" he called out, his voice hoarse. But there was no answer. Only the sound of the waves crashing against the shore. Days turned into nights. Greg survived on coconuts and fish, his hope dwindling with each passing hour. He had managed to send out a distress signal using the plane's emergency beacon, but he knew the chances of being found were slim. He was starting to lose hope. One morning, as he was scanning the horizon for any sign of a ship, he noticed something unusual. Smoke. Could it be? Was someone else on this island? He cautiously made his way towards the smoke, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and anticipation. There, in a clearing, was a small hut, and standing outside was a man, his face weathered by the sun, a wild beard covering his chin. "You all right there?" the man asked, his voice gruff but kind. Greg couldn't believe his ears. I crashed. I'm Greg," he stammered. The man smiled. "Name's Finn. Been here 16 years. Section 4. The Hunt for Hope. Finn's story was incredible. He had been shipwrecked years ago and had learned to survive on the island. He had built a life for himself, a simple life, but a life nonetheless. "There's an old plane phone in the jungle," Finn said. "Crashed years ago, before my time. If it still works, we might be able to call for help." Greg's spirits soared. "Then what are we waiting for?" They set off into the dense jungle, hacking their way through the undergrowth with machetes. The humidity was suffocating and insects buzzed annoyingly around their heads. After hours of searching, they found the wreckage. It was ancient, the metal rusted and covered in vines. "There!" Greg exclaimed, pointing to a compartment near the cockpit. "The phone!" Section 5. Danger in Paradise. They spent the next few days carefully extracting the phone and its parts. They needed a new battery and some wires. "There's a cave on the other side of the island," Finn said. "Used to be a smuggler's hideout. Might be something useful there." But the other side of the island was tiger territory. They moved cautiously, their senses on high alert. The air was thick with the smell of wild animals. Suddenly, a low growl echoed through the trees. "Tiger!" Finn whispered, his eyes wide with alarm. They froze, listening intently. The growl came again, closer this time. They could hear the rustling of leaves as the predator moved towards them. Section 6. Rescue and Dreams. Greg and Finn managed to scare off the tiger and escape to safety. Shaken but determined, they continued their mission. They found the cave, and to their relief it contained a treasure trove of supplies, including a car battery and copper wire. Back at Finn's hut, they worked tirelessly, their hope rekindled. After hours of tinkering, they managed to connect the phone. Greg held his breath as he dialed the emergency number. Static. Then a voice. "This is Coast Guard Sector Honolulu. What is your position?" Help arrived the next day, a Coast Guard cutter appearing on the horizon like a beacon of hope. As they were airlifted to safety, Greg looked back at the island, at Finn standing on the beach waving. "I'll come back for you, Finn," Greg promised, "and I'll teach you how to fly."